Hello, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's English Australia webinar. I'd like to thank our presenter for today, Robert Martinez, who's presenting from Spain. We're at 6:30 in the morning, so thanks so much for getting up early for us as well, Robert.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, pleasure. We're delighted. Robert's the director at Lacunza International House, San Sebastian, in the north of Spain. And he's particularly interested in language learning and technology. He's the lead tutor of the Consultants-e CertICT course, e-moderation, and teaching live online courses. During his career, he's trained teachers all over the world in many countries. He's assessed and moderated Cambridge teaching awards and exams. He's presented for Cambridge and designed blended courses in Moodle. So thank you, Robert. And at the end of the session, there will be an opportunity to ask live questions to Robert as well. So I'll hand over to you now.
Oh, okay, thank you, Sophie. Let me share my screen. Okay, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. I'm really excited to be here again. It's been, I think, about a year since the last time I was here. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope that this session on improving student interaction in hybrid lessons, and where I will be sharing our experience here, is going to be useful for you. Let me get started by sharing with you our agenda for today. So we're going to be doing a poll, warmer, then we're going to talk about the learning outcomes for the session. We're going to look at interaction in hybrid lessons, improving interaction ideas, and then takeaways from the session, and then a short Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions throughout the session, if you can write them down and then keep them for the end, that would be fantastic. I'm going to be looking towards this side a little bit because I'm going to keep an eye on the chat box. I'm going to ask you to do lots of things. So I'm going to try and so I beg you to please help me out today. I'm going to try and make it as interactive as possible. Okay, so welcome everyone once again. It's great to see so many people here today. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Fiona. So let's get started. And what are these people doing in the chat box? Can you tell me, what are they doing? What do you see them doing there? I like using lots of icons and visuals all the time. Exercise, great. Yes, stretching, yoga. Okay, wow, that's super quick. Great. Stretching, warming up, dancing. Absolutely, that's great. Yes, they are. That's right. Claire, Nadia, Indar, everyone. Fantastic. They are warming up. So I would like you to think for a second. And in the chat box, I want you to write one thing you're grateful for today. Very short. One thing you're grateful for today. Coffee, absolutely. Here is 6:30 in the morning, so coffee, the beach, the sun, cheese, peace. Yes, peace. We do need peace and love. More of that. Sunshine is back. Great. Here too. Yesterday and today, we have finally a little bit of sunshine. International students coming back. Fantastic. Yes. Things opening up a little bit more. Seeing family. Attending this webinar. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Family. Health, absolutely, Rosie. Yes. Working from home, yes, is definitely a blessing when we can do that. Thank you so much. And the second one thing you'd like to take away from this webinar. It'd be nice to see one thing you'd like to take away from this webinar is, again, in the chat box. Okay, making this more interesting, Jeremy, that's right. Louise, Richard, ideas, Victoria, strategies. Wow, super fast. I can't read everybody's name. Okay, Adrienne, Roland, good. AJ, Sarah, fantastic. Okay, good. It's really good exercise for me trying to read everyone's ideas. Okay, confidence, better. Yes, definitely. Any ideas for when and how it works to have face-to-face and remote students interacting? Absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, well, definitely. I think this is good. You're going to be pleasantly surprised with this webinar. Insights, okay, good, fantastic. So let's move on then. And the last question, I said at the beginning I was gonna make you work a lot. So the last question, how are you feeling about this session? I'm feeling pretty thrilled. Good, thank you, Jeremy. Excited, Maxine? Good, good, great. Looking forward to it. Great, good. Optimistic, good. Smiley face, good. Hopeful, yes. Curious. Oh, that's wonderful. I like the emojis, Adrienne. Nice. Josie, Luke, Revi, Kristen, thank you. Fantastic. Great. So really, really good energy. Thank you so much. Let's get started then. So let's start by looking at the learning outcomes for this session. By the end of this session, we will have revisited what hybrid lessons are and in our contexts, okay? Because there are a few different definitions out there. We will have looked at different ways students interact in our hybrid lessons. And we will have a list of ideas about how to improve student interaction in hybrid lessons. And some of those ideas, I know that there's nothing new under the sun, but something that I really like to do whenever I attend a webinar to see what other people are doing or what they're experimenting with is that sometimes I see, okay, well, there wasn't really anything new for me there, but I like to try and see it from their perspective. And sometimes I can always take away something that I can adapt to my context, because obviously contexts are not all the same and students are not all the same. Right, so how would you define hybrid in the chat box? Very briefly, for me, hybrid is, let's see, mixed, a combination, Penelope, mixed, okay, Elsa, okay, both in class and remote. Okay, let me just make my chat box bigger so that I can read more. Okay, blended, Nilan, online plus face-to-face, part face-to-face, Fiona, good, yes, physical and online classrooms. Sophie, students attending the same class, some are online, some are face-to-face, excellent. Fusion of face-to-face and virtual, Znedzana, that's right. Nadia, Vittorio, online and face-to-face, flipped, interesting. Yes, there's an element there. That's right, Roland. Claire, that's right. Hybrid is synthesis. I like that, Amos. Richard, challenging. Couldn't agree more. I think we all agree with you, Richard. Dami, face-to-face and virtual. Absolutely, yes. Right. So the hybrid teaching, it's, as you say, where there is some online content and there's virtual and face-to-face interaction with others, and that now they're called Zoomers and Roomers if you're using Zoom. So it's those are two useful terms. They interact between them. They interact also in pairs, in groups, whether they are in the physical room or the virtual room. They interact with technology, mobile technology as well, depending on whether you ask them to bring mobile phones or iPads or tablets, whether they have individual laptops. So there are so many characteristics for all the different contexts that it is difficult in a sense to give one specific definition because it changes in so many ways. Outside our context, usually the hybrid means that face-to-face hours are reduced in favor of online content. And then in a flipped classroom approach and fashion, then students work on the content online, and then in class, then they discuss and have more time to approach that content. This is specifically of hybrid, of higher education context. Absolutely, Amos, yes, there's this synchronous at the same time and asynchronous at a different time kind of approach where we bring the two together. And this is for a higher, like a very typical in higher education. Marty, is this not blended learning? Yes, you will see that blended is also used to mean where you bring two things together. And blended, there are like lots of different types of blended learning as well. That's right, Marty. And there's an element of a flipped classroom approach. Elizabeth, you're absolutely right. That's why I said at the beginning, well, there isn't anything new under the sun, because basically hybrid just brings together lots of different elements that we are familiar with, but then depending on where you are and what technology you have available, then you can do different things. Virtual, online, and distance, any difference for you? Jasana's asking. Yes, virtual for me is basically whenever you are not physically with the students, and or online the same. Distant or at a distance, for me is different in the sense that, for example, the term remote teaching, you may have seen it. I've participated in some projects where I teach, and I'm the teacher is the one online, and the students are all the students in the classroom, and the students can see the teacher on a big screen, and there's usually a hybrid, an assistant in the room. So that is more like remote teaching. So there is a bit of a difference in that sense. Thank you very much for your question and your comments. So in our context, and I'm going to tell you about my context. Sophie mentioned it a little bit. I work in the north of Spain. We are an organization that has been started as a school and has grown into an organization since 1957. There are 13 schools, and we have around 6,000 students. And we are a private language school. So that's super important, because if you work for a private language school or institution, or a center that is within an institution, as it happens very often, obviously resources are limited. In that context, in our context, we have basically face-to-face class, as you can see here. And we have then what we call roomers, and then we have Zoomers. We added, because of the pandemic, initially we moved everything online. So we taught online, fully online for a whole year. And then last year, when the government said that we could come back to the classroom with limited capacity, then what we did was we piloted over the summer hybrid classes, and that meant bringing in webcam. We already had IWBs, Dolby surround speaking systems in all the classrooms. Our classrooms could take up to 12 people in a very generous distribution. But then the government said, no, the capacity is 50%. So automatically we had to think, okay, we need to be able to offer the same numbers of the same classes to the same number of students, and hybrid was the answer. And I know that in many contexts, and right now for many of you is probably the same in the institutions you work for. So we experimented with different technology. We brought in a webcam, special webcams, and then we would have either one or more online students at the same time, while also keeping, sticking to social distancing regulations. Now, a few questions for you so that I also get more information about your context. So let's take a poll. Are you teaching a hybrid class now? Yes or no? Okay, wonderful. Brenton, Voldiak, Sarah, Lisa, Patrick will be soon. Marty. Okay, some of you aren't. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, Roland, Geoffrey. Okay, soon. Yes. Oh, good. So some yes, some no, some fully online. That's really, really interesting. Okay, good. And how long have you been teaching hybrid classes? For those of you who have been teaching hybrid classes, okay. Oh, okay, Roland, 1 week, 2 years. Okay, excellent. Okay, 2 weeks, less than a year, Shoshana. 1 week, 3 weeks. Oh, quite a a mix of like 2 years, Rosa, great, and others, and almost 5 months, a few weeks only, 1 year, Jenny, okay, on and off, Nadia, interesting, okay, really good, really good. This is really interesting. 6 months, good. What do you find most challenging in your hybrid lessons? We had hybrid before, but then we went online. Okay, I see, Claire. And so what do you find most challenging? Team building, Susanna, technology, yes. We'll see that we have to kind of like juggle so many things. Maintain interaction, absolutely, Brenton. Classroom management, yeah. Energy, communication, not leaving anyone out. Joe, that's absolutely true. Mardi, getting roomies and consumers to interact. Yes. Technology, engagement, interaction, managing interaction. Fantastic. It's great because I know that those are challenges, but we are all on the same boat, right? We're going through the same challenges. Student engagement, technology issues, absolutely, Amos. Having roomers demand normal face-to-face class. Interesting, Victoria. And not working if students are getting not knowing if students are getting the info. Rosie, okay, all of the above, Jenny, absolutely. And the last question, how many roomers and zoomers in class, just to get an idea of how big or how small your classes are? No worries, SW, for the internet connection. Managing the cognitive load, absolutely. Okay, 28, about 12. Okay, and how many roomers, how many zoomers? So if you can add the number to get an idea. 323, okay. Jorge, I had, last year I had one of my classes where I had 7 roomers, 1 zoomer, and it was, I mean, I would have rather have a little bit of a balance. 12 to 9, 9, 18, 5, 5 is, that would be perfect, Hatem, I think, for me, in my experience. 4 to 10, 4 zoomers, 11. Excellent. In 2020, 15 roomers and 2 zoomers, and now 4 and 12. Okay, all zoomers. Okay, Jamie. So that's a fully online lesson then. Maximum, oh my goodness, 150 online Amos. That must have been tough. That reminded me of when I did some lecturing online, that the groups were really, really big. Fewer zoomers than zoomers. Okay, 5, 22. Okay, great, great, great. Yes, absolutely. They keep you on your toes, and it changes completely the ball game. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your information. It's really useful for you and for me because we can see where everyone is. Right. Looking at interaction, how do your students interact in the classroom? Again, in the chat box. If you can share one idea so that we all kind of get to see what everyone else is doing, how you're doing it, that would be fantastic. Do they interact mainly zoomers with zoomers and roomers with roomers? Do they interact? Do you try and have pairs in separate groups? Do you try to bring them together? It would be nice if we can see, if you can share that in the, okay. Breakout rooms work well. Yes, I'd like that, especially whenever there's at least 4 or more zoomers. Okay, try bringing together, but tough. Absolutely, yes. Let me get the chat box bigger so that I can read more. Okay. Zoomers until recently. Okay. Yes. 1 student, breakout rooms, combination between the 2, collaborative task on Google Docs. Maxine, that's right. Yes, to try and bring them both together. Collaborative tools I also have found them very, very useful. For this, in and outside the classroom. We'll look at that in a minute. For teacher-led activities using Poly Studios. Okay, pair and group work. Simon, good. Using the chat box, Volley. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. Absolutely, I usually use the chat box a lot, both with roomers and zoomers, as you can see here today. Sometimes put them separately. Okay, Claire, nice distribution. Shared documents, absolutely, Belinda. Rumors may be tough due to distancing. Yes, we'll look at how we do it here, but I know that it may change depending on your context. Collaborating poll everywhere. Yes, I like that one too. Rumors, powering hybrid work and inclusive conversations. Right. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Moore in 1989, and you can see that 30 years ago, hybrid already existed. The only thing is that, and it has existed all throughout, it has developed obviously along with technology. The difference being that now, because of the pandemic, it has become a permanent feature in many contexts for teaching, right? More comments were coming through. Josie and Roland, thank you so much. Yes, can be seen and heard on large projected screen. Yes, Moore talks about 3 types of interaction. Interaction with the content that we want to share with them, object of the lesson, with each other, between them, and with the instructor or the teacher. And in my experience, and also looking at the different articles that I read while researching also for this webinar, I was pleasantly surprised to see that they all mentioned that successful interaction in hybrid classes, it starts at lesson planning, when we are putting together the lesson, thinking of what we want to do, the content we have, the students we have, and how we want to experience that content. And they all suggest that we should allow time for interaction between the teacher and the students. And you may be thinking, well, that's what we do all the time. But here, the point is that it is a good idea to plan the lesson and allocate specific time when we're going to be interacting with students, when they're going to be interacting with one another, when Roomers and Zoomers are going to interact. I think that this interaction between Roomers and Zoomers also depend on a great extent to the kind of technology that we have in the classroom. If the students have all mobile devices, then it's a lot easier to have Zoomers and Roomers work together. I'll show you in a minute how I do it. We don't all have mobile devices in the classroom, so I ask them to bring their own. Not every lesson, but some lessons, depending on what activities I have created, and they really respond well to that. And also interaction with content. Now, interaction with content, we'll look at that a little bit later, but just to give you a little bit of a taste, the way I started experimenting with interaction with content was also asking them to, as in a flipped classroom approach, asking some of my classes as an experiment, this was last year, to make it part of the homework that they had to read the next 2 pages of what I knew I was going to cover or was coming for the next lesson. And that in preparation for the following lesson, not just homework, but as part of the next lesson, I wanted them to be aware. I wanted them to be aware of what was coming. I wanted them to feel a little bit more comfortable, especially the younger learners. I have both younger learners and also adults being 16 plus, or the oldest group I have is with 20 years of age. Let me just very quickly, yes, I had a rumor, very much object to asking me. Rumors, okay, yes, Victoria, absolutely. So we wanted to make sure that everyone is kind of connected, because one of the things that we noticed, especially at the beginning, was that Zoomers would be a little bit more like spectators, and we didn't want that. We wanted them to be as active a part of the lesson as possible. Yes, review already difficult enough. Absolutely, Roland. Absolutely. Okay. So, and so what I do is this, and you may be thinking, yes, but we can, one of the problems with the flipped classroom approach is that we don't always know whether they have done it or not. And so something that I learned from one of my colleagues, that she was using low-tech mini boards, and I'm going to show you mine. It's just a plastic sleeve with a piece of cardboard in it, and just a whiteboard marker. And so I have mini boards for all my students that I keep with the books for that group so that they don't go around, obviously for COVID measures. And they're really, really good. Even my Zoomers have to have their own whiteboard mini board. And I use it a lot in class, especially at the beginning of the lesson, to give them mini quizzes, 2, 3, 5, up to 5 questions about the content that they had to read for the lesson, and they have to show me. And they're now into their routine. Initially was a little bit like, but you know, we're the teachers, we're in charge. And then if we put energy into that, it usually works. Even with the Zoomers, they also have to show the ones in the room what they're doing. And Fiona, yes, for me, I love them because they're low tech. They always work. I know that it's not going to be, I don't have to click on anything. So it's less technology management, and you can use them for anything. So that's pretty much how I check on the content. Okay, so let's move on. All of this, obviously, you were saying, yes, it's a little bit difficult because we need to bear in mind that we are restricted. Interaction is restricted also by physical distance in the classroom, especially, right? Allison in the chat board. Yeah, absolutely. Then you can use a basis for discussion. Yes, absolutely. Good idea. Now, let's look at some ideas, some tried and tested ideas that I have, and that, you know, from my own experience and from my reading as well. And then let's see what you think of them, okay? Right, so improving interaction between Zoomers, between roomers and Zoomers. It's, as you say, it can be a little bit difficult because if we are the teacher, and then we need to give our attention to roomers, give our attention to Zoomers, and in a sense, we have to split ourselves into 2, which is a challenge, right? And in order to do this, looking at the rumors, something that we have, I don't know what your context is. In our classrooms, we have chairs that look a little bit like this. These are desk chairs. What about you? Okay, Victoria, thank you very much for being here for now. Thank you so much, and good luck with your meeting. The others in the chat room, if you can share, do you have desk chairs? Do you have tables? Are they fixed to the ground? Swivel chairs, tables and chairs, same table and chairs, regular tables and chairs. Thank you, Jeremy. Anna, thank you. Okay, you can rearrange the class. Fantastic. Tables, chairs. Rosie, Elsa, Simon, Kylie, thank you. Bench tables, okay. Belinda, science lab, okay. Adrian, so does that mean that they're fixed? I think they might be fixed, right? Okay, tables and chairs, regular chairs, desk chairs, okay, right. Yeah, fixed benches. Okay, that might be a little bit more difficult in your context if you have to give the lesson there. Ours are movable and they're desk chairs. So what we do basically to keep to the distance and ensure that everyone is has a chance to talk to different people is we just ask them to move them around, in the sense, if depending on the activity, if they're talking to the person next to them or to the sides or to the back, so that they can then talk to people for the roomers. This is specifically for the roomers. I'm just looking at Claire. Yes, they can also use Zoom chat or Padlet. Good to prepare them. Yes. And then they can see each other. Absolutely. We also have the typical classroom at our schools. We have an IWB, then we have the wide angle Zoom cameras that allow Zoomers to see roomers and vice versa. So they can see. That's why these mini boards work fantastically, because they can all see one another whenever they're sharing their ideas or their answers in there. And this one is for the roomers, right? For the Zoomers, I'm sure you're doing the same thing to create interaction between them, especially if you have at least 2, because one of my classes last year, of the classes that I had, one of my classes I had, One of the classes I had only one Zoomer and 6 roomers, and it was a little bit challenging because I was the one who had to interact with the online student most of the time, unless I would give my laptop to one of the roomers. So it meant kind of like juggling and bearing in mind that whenever I was planning the lesson to ensure that the online one Zoomer would be participating, right? So if we are interacting with them, very important, and you're probably aware of this, we need to make sure that while the activity is going on, that the microphone, I mentioned before that we have Dolby Surround, a speaking system in the classroom. So the roomers can hear the Zoomers very, very clearly. So something I learned early on was to make sure that the microphone was off so that the Zoomers wouldn't basically, I would keep my headphones on, and then with one ear, I would listen to the Zoomers, and with one ear, I would listen to the roomers while keeping the microphone off, so that roomers wouldn't drown the Zoomers and vice versa with the noise. So this one I found a little bit tricky initially, because whenever I started an activity, you could hear everyone going like, "Arr!" So it was like, oh, I need to remember to turn off the microphone. Carrie, do Zoomers and roomers are mixed together in breakout rooms, or are they separated? Good question, Carrie. Usually roomers and Zoomers, they are separated in breakout rooms. I've only done it a few times, probably 2-3 times, whenever I ask them to, this year, when they bring in their mobile phones. We have Wi-Fi at school, so those are the only times when I would be able to pair Zoomers and roomers in a breakout room, because they are all in also in their mobile devices in class. Super, super important, and I learned this the hard way. When they bring their mobile devices, we need to ask them to remind them to bring their headphones too, because the very first time I tried to bring their Zoomers and roomers together at the same time in the same class, I didn't ask them to bring their headphones, and therefore it was impossible to do the activity, because every roomer would be talking to their Zoomer through their device in the room, and it was impossible. It was very, very hard to hear everyone. So the problem is solved if we ask them to bring in their headphones, which is, it works really well. Okay, additional devices, Simon. Additional devices allow roomers to join Zoomers. Absolutely, yes, definitely using the headphones. So I've done this 2, 3, 4 times with adults, because obviously it requires planning, it requires coordination, it requires them remembering that they need to bring them so that they can use them, because if don't have them, then you have to like put them in groups of 3, which is not bad, but because of social distancing, then it just gets a little bit more complicated. It just takes time to actually plan the lesson and do it. Let's see, Claire, the time lag for people speaking through Zoom also means remote students can feel they can't get the word in. Yes, absolutely. Here, I can say that our connections are pretty stable and pretty almost, I mean, just as you are probably seeing me, they're immediate. So we haven't experienced, or I haven't heard any of these problems with ours, but absolutely, breakout rooms sometimes can have 2 students in the room or 1 device. That's true. Yes, all students are on Zoom. That's right, Irina. Right? So it's been a very positive experience, and I really like that. But as I said before, there are lots of different elements that we need to bear in mind when we're planning the lesson and ensuring that they bring their devices if the school has them. If everyone has a laptop, then things are a lot easier. In your context, question it for you in the chat box. Do all your students have their own mobile device provided by the school? I mean, is there a laptop for every student in your classroom? I know that some institutions have like a deck of laptops that they can use. Rosie, no, yeah, no, me neither, me neither. Okay, students bring their own. Claire, Fiona, personal devices, yes. Non-institutional, okay, great. Yes, like my context, which is the same. They either bring them, or then there's, you know, like in a way separated. I found that a way of bringing Zoomers and Roomers together in interaction for activities, although it's a little bit limiting, is the mini boards, because they don't need a device to answer a question. They can actually do it and show it all together. Penelope, zoom in by in-class students creates impossible feedback problems. Yes, it is more complicated, because obviously in the time given, something important about feedback is that we cannot it's not impractical and not realistic to want to get feedback or monitor everyone. So the way I tend to do that is, and the way we suggest, that our teachers do it here whenever we go and do the observations, because I'm a teacher, but I'm also a professional support leader, and I'm a teacher trainer because of the experience that I have with technology and teaching online. And so whenever we go and observe classes, then we try and give ideas as to how to do feedback, in the sense that they can divide their number of students into different cohorts, different groups, and then every lesson they're going to be able to focus on only a few, especially if you are focusing on the Zoomers, because the time, as you were saying, the time lag between going into one breakout room, listening for at least a minute, and then coming out, you're still keeping one ear in the classroom, seeing what's happening. So it is definitely a lot more challenging. Right, good. I can see that Penelope, Fiona, Claire, everyone is, they are adding their comments. So thank you so much. Not Fiona right now, sorry, I meant, yeah, Richard, Arnoldi. Okay, so definitely. Then moving on, improving interaction, and this links to what I was saying before. So for example, I like to use, some of you mentioned them before, integration of online tools to foster interaction, whether it is face-to-face or online, so in the classroom or outside the classroom. And for example, Google Drive, some of you mentioned Google Docs, Google Slides. I like to use them. I need to be honest, I tend to use them for collaborative work outside the classroom, unless I have planned that activity for the classroom, and therefore I have asked them to bring their mobile devices. Not necessarily that their mobile devices are not necessarily just so that I have Zoomers and Roomers working on in a breakout room, but also collaborating on a Google Doc or on slides. I like to use them mainly for offsite work. I set it up in class, and then I like them to collaborate outside the classroom on mini projects, and they tend to be quite successful. I mean, I can see that engagement is good enough. I mean, you probably agree that we're never going to get everyone being super enthusiastic about everything we do, but there's a good degree of success. I also like to play Kahoot with Roomers and Zoomers, and you may be thinking, yes, but how do you do it if you don't have all, if your Roomers don't all have mobile devices? Well, I play Kahoot. The way I do it in a low-tech fashion is the Roomers and the Zoomers, no one has a mobile device. And so what I do is I freeze the screen for the face-to-face students to stop. I freeze the screen for the face-to-face students and then stop sharing with the online students when the question is up, when the question time is up. And they have to use their mini boards to write the answer. So the trick here, and it was a little bit difficult for me at the beginning, is to ensure that you freeze the screen and stop sharing at the same time before the question is up, so that everyone has the time to write the answer in their white mini boards and not see the answer when the question is up, when the time is up. It requires a little bit of just reminding yourself of when to do it, but it works. And it proves that you don't have to have everyone online. You just need a white mini board if necessary. Sometimes if you want to make it more realistic in terms of technology, then they can bring a laptop, a tablet or a phone, and definitely bring their headphones. Okay, let me just double check over here if there's anything else. Google Docs, yes, Carrie, Google Docs work fantastically with my roomers. Yes, my students, I have to say something. I think I tend to be very positive and very enthusiastic about things. And I think that we need to be like that with students, because I'm sure you've seen students that are totally apathetic, especially the ones that are in their teens years. And, sometimes feel like, oh, but I really want this to work. And I think that our energy and our enthusiasm and we need to sell it. I think that's like the extra layer for them to buy it. So definitely. Google Docs. Okay, Kahoot, could you just give them all 4 color squares that they hold? Also, absolutely. For A, B, C, and then they just hold the one that they think it is. Absolutely, yes, a different way of doing it rather than having them writing. Okay, yes, great idea, Marty. Yes, that's right. So that they show like a paw, right? I don't know if you know Plickers. Plickers is similar to that as well. Everyone gets an ABC kind of, it's not a QR code, but it's like a code. And with your phone, the teacher's phone, you just scan everyone, and then the results are online. So it's similar. It's nice. Yes. Judges and scorekeepers. Very good, Claire. Yes. Thank you. Right. So another important thing to bear in mind to improve interaction is to try and rotate groups, right? You're probably saying, yes, well, we do that. Yes, try and make sure that we have boys and girls, or males and females, the ones at the front, the ones that are at the back, the closest, have the class, the front line, all together at the back line. And then online students, if you have only one, because I've seen that some people had only one, then you as a teacher would have to interact with them. I had to do that, but ideally when you have 2 or more, then they can interact together, ensuring that you have the mic off the headphones so that they don't blast people in the room, right? It usually works. It usually works well. Now, looking at ways of rotating those groups and having different interaction, whether they're males or females, the ones that are online, it's a good idea to give them agency. And this works really well, not only with young learners, but also with teens and adults. And what do I mean by agency? Allowing them to decide who they want to work with, or how they want to work that day. Is it going to be, do you want to work in pairs with all the boys or all the girls, or do you want to work with the ones online? And I go back here to saying that lesson planning is super important, because at lesson planning stage, I know whether I'm going to give that agency. And if they're going to ask people to work Zoomers and Roomers, then I'll probably ask the following lesson or the previous lesson, ask them to bring their mobile phone so that they can interact, or simply prepare cards, as Carrie said, or have my whiteboards ready, but knowing when to integrate them into the lesson. So agency is really, really important to ensure that Zoomers and Roomers feel a little bit more like they are in control as well of the lesson. It also helps with buy-in whenever we want to sell an activity, regardless of whether they're adults or teens or young learners. Is it going to be boys, Roomers and Zoomers, or is it going to be all boys or all girls? When I say boys and girls, I don't want you to think that it's only young learners. We also have adults. I'm just saying males, females. Okay. Right. I have more students' autonomy in my advanced class. Good. Yes. Has anyone found an alternative to Google Docs for when we have Chinese students in the group? Oh, true, because they have it. Is it because of the connection? Yes, because of the G Suite not being able to be open in China. Alternatives, Google Docs. Okay, Office 365 works in China. Okay, good to know. Some people are suggesting SharePoint, Microsoft Suite is available in China. Okay, thank you so much. Right. let's carry on with improving interaction. So any ideas as to what this icon may mean in the chat box? Let's see if you get it for this next step. Isolation, okay, possible. But where is the person? At home, and what are they doing? A presentation, homework. Yes, Claire. So I wanted to evoke the idea of homework. So we know that homework tends to be mainly retrospective, right? And it's usually about what we did in the classroom, but it doesn't have to be necessarily like that. I mentioned before that it can be prospective, sort of flipping it. And I gave you the example of what I do with my learners, that I tend to give homework that is retrospective, but at the same time, it is now a routine that they read 1 or 2 pages of what's next. And what they need to do is, if that there's any new vocabulary, they need to circle it. Even if they're adults, they need to circle it and look it up in the dictionary, or at least circle it and try to get the meaning from the context. And as a way to prepare them for the lesson, okay? This tends to be because they have that possibility possibility that we give them the homework, we ask them to do it. The idea of looking at what's going to be the next lesson, what the next lesson is going to be about, then that tends to give a little bit, increase the sense of confidence. This is especially so, I would say, for young learners, especially evident for young learners, less so for adults, because, you know, they don't want to, we are a little bit more conscious about our peers and we don't want to lose face, but it helps building confidence. And I've seen that there's a lot more participation, both on face-to-face and roomers and Zoomers, right? Because they are a little bit familiar with it. And remember what I said is not only assigning that for homework, but also checking that they've done it somehow, that they're aware of the topic. And again, I'm an advocate of mini boards, because with 2, 3, 4 questions about those pages, or that page that we ask them to read in advance in preparation for the lesson, just to see if they got it, if they did it. I noticed, for example, at the beginning, not everybody was doing it, which obviously doesn't help if we want to focus on that, more on the practical side of the content rather than on the content. But once you start doing it as a routine, they know that you're going to check, and therefore there's an extra obligation, or they know there's that peer pressure that everyone that you're going to check, and it does work. So my piece of advice would be just to include materials revision as well as new content in your homework to build confidence, but make sure that you find a way of checking that they have done it, because otherwise it's a little bit difficult if not everybody does it. Catherine, oh, sorry, no worries. Thank you so much for your participation, for being here, okay? Carrie, I feel that homework is an issue among Zoomers, particularly if they're young. Absolutely, yes, they have low-level English and lack motivation. True, I agree, Carrie. And it's especially if I think what we need to do is something that is very important that I didn't mention here, that was something we did right from the beginning, even when we were fully online, is to ensure that we created a PDF with all the rules in a very visual way for parents, especially when talking about young learners, of all the things that they were expected to do. And when that is the case, for example, if I see that any of my young learners are not really doing the homework, then it's very important to give a call to the parents, not to complain, but to say, listen, I know that so-and-so, I wanted to know if they're having a problem. I've noticed that they haven't done homework in the last 2 or 3 times, or the homework has been incomplete, and I want you to help me at home. If you can please check, ensure a communication channel that is open constantly works really, really well. Right, so here are some of extra tips for improving interaction. When presenting a new topic, give Zoomers specific rules as to how and when to chime in. I think this is part of classroom management. it's important for them, well, Zoomers and also Roomers, to know when to intervene, what they have to do. Something I do is I tell my Roomers that I have very bad eyesight and that because I'm presenting the topic, I need them to keep an eye on the Zoomers in case they raise their virtual hand, or in case anyone turns off their camera, or in case anyone seems not to be paying attention. And they help me a lot for that. Thank you, Kylie. Thank you so much. And so I use that as a way of helping me both. Sometimes I ask the Zoomers, today you're going to be the ones helping me keep an eye on the Roomers. Now, for this to work, we need really good technology. We use, you may use even better cameras. We experimented initially with cheaper cameras that didn't work, and we ended up spending definitely more, because then we settled for Zoom cameras. They're called Zoom cameras, wide angle, and they have a microphone incorporated, and they work really, really well. The quality is quite good. The rooms, our rooms are not very big. I think we try them at off-site venues like state schools where we do extracurricular activities with English, and they wouldn't work because the rooms were just too big. You know, rooms where they can have 40 or 30 or 40 students is just too big. The microphone doesn't pick up well enough people who speak at the back, and it's very difficult to see people who are beyond the fourth or fifth row. Okay. So something to bear in mind. Also, if everyone can have access to a mobile device or computer, then plan for Zoomer and Roomer interaction. What I was saying, my students, none of them, at school, we don't have technology for everyone. So what we do is we ask them to bring their mobile phones or tablets, depending on the activity and depending on the lesson and what we're going to do. Ensure Roomers and Zoomers can see one another. And this is especially for teens and young learners. You know that the black box syndrome, that they just come in and turn off the camera. This is a rule from the beginning for us. If I see someone turning it off, I go like, so-and-so, everything okay? Are you there? Can you please turn it on? They have no choice. I've had teenagers saying, sorry, my camera is not working, it's broken. It's like, okay, great, let me just make a note. I'll call your parents after and see if I can help them so that we can fix your camera. And most of the time, 5 minutes later, the camera works. So just sticking to the rules, stick in a nice way, you know, like never antagonizing them, but in a nice way, it usually works quite well. Helpers, okay, Claire, good. I've been using student helpers, good. Yes, even teens, older teens and adults. I think that these strategies work pretty much across the age ranges. What changes the impact and the effect is how we do it. If we're condescending with adults, they're obviously going to think like, what are you doing, Robert? I'm not a kid. But how we ask them, I think that they actually work quite well. And it's a subtle way of keeping everyone involved. Also, Zoomers and Roomers show one another their work if we have those mobile devices there. For example, if they're working on Google Docs, I really like it to make sure that they share and they have to do something and give an opinion about everyone's work whenever they're working on slides, on Google Slides or on Google Docs, which they actually enjoy a lot because it's like self-expression at the same time, right? And there's also the peer pressure element that works really well when they see what others are doing. Also, use breakout rooms to provide support to struggling learners on a one-to-one basis, especially the ones that are online. It may be difficult at times to actually follow everyone. So, because we need to keep 2 eyes and 2 ears into, right, in online and on the roomers, on the Zoomers, listening to the Zoomers, listening to the roomers. And so it's super important. I really like always looking at people in the camera and then trying to get the same features, the same body language to see what's happening, and then constantly trying to interact and ask different people to make sure that they are with me. It's challenging, as everyone said, most of you said before, but I guess that's the job we have to do. And so it's important that we also provide that sort of support. Experiment with quizzes in breakout rooms. Remember that now with the latest version of Zoom, if you're using Zoom, we can share the screen with the breakout rooms. And while you're sharing the screen with the breakout rooms, then the roomers can also see it. Right? I tend to, because of all the different things we have to do, I tend to try and include, whenever I know that they have to use a tool or do a click, click on something, I try and think, how could I do that low tech, but both doing it? And I think that that's what has pushed me a little bit to using a lot, whether it is cards or whiteboard or mini whiteboards, to try and make that a lot easier. Sandra is asking, can you use Microsoft Teams for polls between the two groups? That's right. Yes, if you're using Microsoft Teams. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This is the, oops, sorry. We're getting also to the end of the hour. Any questions or that you would like to ask me? And let's see if I can share my experience and answer your questions. This would be the time to ask your questions in the chat box. You've been a fantastic audience, helping me in interacting in the chat box and sharing your experiences as well. It's very enlightening because it's always good to see what other people are doing, how they're doing it, to build a little bit of a sense of rapport and community. 2 questions, Heather. Okay, Heather has 2 questions. It says, any suggestions for administering tests or exams in a hybrid context? Oh dear, yes. Well, I can tell you about our experience and how do security issues be handled during break times with so many personal devices in the classroom. Okay, so the question number 1 about tests. This is something that we asked ourselves last year, and the idea was to turn into more formative assessment that would amount, that doesn't mean leaving summative assessment aside, but for example, the whole of last year, we did formative assessment mini tasks throughout every term over the 3 terms, and we use that to come up with a final mark. This year we are working on, we're doing terms 1 and 2 formative assessment mini tasks, because after surveying the teachers and looking to discussing it with the director of education and all the directors of studies, we agreed that it did work last year. And so we're doing terms 1 and 2. We are towards the halfway through, slightly over halfway through of term 2, and then in term 3 we'll have a summative assessment. And for that, in terms of security, administering them, what we have been doing is projecting the tasks so that they can complete them in their notebooks. We haven't shared PDFs, we haven't shared any files themselves. So it has all been a lot of designing and rethinking the formative assessment tasks to be so that they fit both a hybrid and a hybrid environment. In terms of security issues during the break times, actually, we don't have those because in our context, our lessons are either an hour or an hour and 25 minutes or maximum 2 hours long. We have very few cases where they have 3 hours. And for those lessons that are 3 hours that they have a break in between, the teacher has the possibility to lock the room. So they can leave things in there and then lock the room. So in that sense, we haven't had any of those problems. Thank you, Jeremy. Carrie has a question. Do you use a lot of technology applications in hybrid classes, or do you try to limit the range? Very good question. I would say that I mainly use, and as you say, I try to limit it simply because as a teacher, I feel that I have to juggle the two classrooms, the two mediums. And so bringing in extra technology always means extra work for me. And I think you'll agree with me that we have so many things to pay attention to, that adding to the mix is it just means more work for us, more stress. So I tend to use the ones that they are comfortable with. That at the beginning we use them when we were online, and that most people are comfortable with for outside work. You may remember I mentioned that I like to use Google Docs, Google Slides, mostly outside collaborative work, outside the lesson. And then, for example, with Kahoot, I like to use a low version so that they don't have to bring their devices, and so that Zoomers and Roomers can work together through mini boards. It does require that little bit of freeze the screen and stop sharing with the Zoomers before the answer is revealed, but it does work. Thank you, Carrie. Maxime, are the Zoomers making progress at a similar rate? Excellent question. To be honest, I think it's hard to tell. And I would say that in my case with my classes, I think that the Zoomers, I think it depends very much on the student as well, right? Because I have some Zoomers that are so good. They always do the homework. They're super applied. Some are working towards an exam, and they know that a high stakes exam, and they have the motivation and the drive. I would say that it pretty much depends on the student, but that as a teacher, I can see that there's a little bit of an imbalance there, simply because it is a different medium, and we are trying to bring the two together, and that requires a big effort, I would say. Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Maxine, for the question. Jennifer says MS form works well for test 2. Yes, absolutely, Jennifer. Something we discovered, though, was that students can actually see, we use them for formative assessment so that they would have feedback immediately and could see the answers. So we stopped adding the answers because we found out that they could crack the code very easily. I didn't know how to. I learned after I learned that some students were doing it and see the answer. So, but absolutely, the quizzes and the forms for quizzes are excellent because you can use them. I mean, the great thing about them is that they can be self-marking, but then if a student knows how to see the answers, then it kind of defeats the purpose. But I guess that with formative assessment, that works. Sophie has, okay, a question from Snow. Have you noticed any peculiarities of teaching homogeneous, heterogeneous groups, classes, in hybrid delivery? Teaching homogeneous, heterogeneous. All our groups tend to go through the same process. So in the sense that for selection, so that they can be in that group in terms of level, I've seen that in terms of level, they're pretty much there. In terms of technology and how they can use it, they're not. So something really important is to dedicate time at the beginning or as soon as you realize that there are those problems to help either roomers or Zoomers. I had a group last year of older people that they struggled a little bit with the technology, both in the room and in Zoom. So it's really useful to dedicate some time to do some technology training so that they get comfortable with the language of technology, the name of the buttons, what they're for, what they have to do with them. So absolutely, yes. Thank you, Sophie and Snow, for the question. Thank you, Wei Hua. Let's see if there are any other questions. We're coming to the end. Thank you, everyone, so much. Jeremy, you like my slides? I make them. I use, I'm just going to go ahead a little bit so that you can see it. I use the Noun project. They are free icons. I love icons, and because I think that they evoke, they make people think. And so I have a pro account. They're free. The Noun project they are also free, but if you have a pay account for the whole year, is like 20 euros. It's definitely worth it because I use them for everything. And in terms of credits, if you pay, you don't have to give credit, although I always give credit, and you will see it in a minute as well. Okay. I'm impressed how you gave us things to keep in mind. Oh, thank you, Claire. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's so nice. Thank you so much. You too. I'd like the polls. Thank you. The name of the account for the slides. Absolutely. I'm going to write it. Well, actually, let's do very quickly before everyone goes. One takeaway, basically. Something I'm taking away from this session is in the chat box. Oh, thank you, Adrienne. Thank you so much. Ha, Kiki, everyone. Thank you so much. One thing you're taking away from this session is for low tech. Yes, where possible. Absolutely. For our mental health, Fiona, I think so. Diana, not as scary. That's right. Good. I'm going to use the mini boards. Good, Anna. Yes, they're wonderful. Lesson planning, definitely key, Elsa. Thank you. You sound very prepared. Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Headphones, absolutely. Don't make the mistake I made at the beginning. Ask them to bring the headphones if you're going to ask them to bring their technology. Excellent. Claire, pick and stick. Absolutely with tech. Don't go mad. Absolutely. Our mental health is even more important. Okay, good. So many things. Absolutely. Thanks. Okay, so Jeremy and everyone, here it is, the Noun project. All images are via the Noun project pro account. It is free. Pro accounts are at a fee, but you can also use them for free as long as you say image via the Noun project. Okay. And credits. So also you, thank you so much for your participation. You've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Also, these are some of the resources and the sources that I also looked at when preparing for the webinar. And thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You've been an absolute pleasure. I really love this opportunity to share my ideas with you and to learn from you through the chat box as well. Thank you, Fiona, Marty, Sepidi, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. Snitsana, thank you. Artie, Adrian, Liza, I'm trying to keep up with your names. Thank you so much. Amos, thank you so much for all your ideas. Diana, Chaunan, sorry if I cannot pronounce it correctly. Genevieve, thank you. Genevieve, thank you. Elizabeth, Zarab, Artie, Ragars, thank you so much, everyone. I'm ever so thankful. Let me stop sharing. Maybe Sophie wants to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you, Robert, for that really highly interactive and energetic session, and it stimulated a lot of discussion and ideas from the audience, and it was wonderful to hear your ideas too.
Yeah, I learned a lot too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so it really did feel like a collaborative, PD sharing session, which is wonderful. And yeah, I'm also really impressed with the way that you keep up with the chat box. That's amazing. It's high energy, and you're synthesizing a lot of information. So thank you again, and thank you to everyone for coming.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Have a great day, afternoon.
Yes, you have a great day, and we'll have a great evening.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.